Okay, we're live. Okay, cool. We're gonna do this. Let's be quick with it. Okay, so here we are. Just finished doing lifting shoulders. Got my nice fan. If you know, you know. um, and then we just did cardio just now. So we are cooling off right now and drinking a smoothie. I give that that'll be a separate video, but I might be slurping on this while I'm answering our topic. Our topic, I have notes, so you see me looking down because I'm looking at my notes. So I'm hitting people. It's on the weekend, so watch this later. Send it to people. I think people who are not in the league, those who are in the league, you want to add something, let me know. This is not going to be all the things because there's just too many things to name. And I think people can relate to this whether in the collegiate setting or they're in the professional setting, is not, or even high school setting, especially if you're an athletic trainer. Also, if you are a physical therapist, strength conditioning coach, any other profession, and you find yourself in a sports tactical athlete type of setting, you may maybe relate, maybe not. I don't know. Let me know. By all means, I'm recording this now because it's convenient for me because I want to put this out here before I get another phone call. And I'm answering the DMs. It's just taking a minute. So it's after a minute and 20 seconds. Let's go ahead and get this started. So we're not here all day. We're not trying to make this long. That is the goal. Don't make this too long. Okay. And yes, I got pigtails. They're gonna do its thing. So yeah. So the title ish. They don't tell you in pro sports. Again, this is not to bash anything, anyone, any particular thing. I think these are top ideas, things that I had an idea of. Thank God when I did athletic training, when I worked at a high school, then when you go to college, when you do a residency fellowship, I think there are people who could probably comment like, okay, I see what you're saying. And then you get into this setting, and I don't think it matters if you are in basketball, soccer, baseball, pro sports, collegiate, whichever. Um, yeah. So anyway, one of the first things I jotted down here is you will barely see your family. And you might put your significant, oh wow, now we can't speak, your significant other in that topic because residency, and those who are in residency, you can chime in. Um, Residency, you're putting a lot of hours in, more hours than you thought were required or that you initially thought of. That carries over when you work in the collegiate setting. Say if you are working with a team, you're a rehab coordinator, director of rehab, um, the physical therapist, or even an athletic trainer that's working with the team or work with multiple teams, whether that's Division 1, Division 2, we can go down to Division 3. It does not matter. If you do clinic hours, if you are, maybe have set hours in the training room, but then you have to travel with the team. All that goes into you barely see family. I know there's people who can chime in no matter what setting, maybe not high school, depending on like tournaments and stuff, that you can state like, hey, there's been Thanksgiving, there's been Christmas, or just holidays. You don't get off, or you're with the team, you're working or traveling, or if you are in the NBA, there is a Christmas Day game, New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, like you have practice or you're traveling on that day. So those are some of the things I do want to bring up that I don't know if others know if you're not in the setting or if you want to be in the setting. And that includes, that's not just professional sports, that is collegiate and sometimes high school or some of these like elite teams where you are doing a lot of travel, you're doing a lot of like these elite players, like you're doing some stuff, or even overseas, or Olympics. That's another great example. Olympics is going on right now. So keep that in mind. There's been years, I know a lot of people can chime in. You've not seen your family, you don't remember the last time you had Thanksgiving dinner. So that's some of the things just to be aware of. Significant other, I will speak from experience. you may see your coworker more than you see your significant other, and that's just because of the setting that we're in. There are no set hours, and I know that was another point that I was going to bring up. That to say, oh, I work 6:30 in the morning. I clock out at 3. That means the rest of the time I'm seeing my family. You can plan date night all you want, like you can plan date night. You can plan vacation. However, if you get a call where that is your medical director, a player, um, anything like anything that requires of your job for this athlete or some are in the entertainment industry and you're with that person and you have to get up and go, you could be in dinner and it's time to get up and go. So that's something that I want people to be aware of. So let's move on to the next one. Hmm. Ooh, I want to talk about, it kind of ties into that. So there, I don't know. I had an idea of like, oh, you're not gonna get that much sleep because residency fellowship was like it, your productivity is up through the roof. There is no productivity uh tracking that happens in the professional setting. May I probably include that maybe in the collegiate setting, depending on if it's a hospital based type of job that works with athletes in the collegiate setting or in a professional setting, that might be a whole different ballgame. I'm speaking just that sports and entertainment industry, and you travel a lot. So in this setting, talking with other healthcare professionals who are in the professional setting as well, they travel a lot, and that includes sleep. So whether that athlete has to perform at night, so for example, easy peasy, games at 7. If it is NBA, most likely you're going to be at the arena 3 to 4, sometimes up to 5 hours before the game starts. And that does not include things that happen in the morning. That could be treatment, that could be meetings that happen in the morning, all those things. So if you think about like how your day is set up, you're showing somewhere, like could be practice facility, could be shoot around, you could be on the road, or you could be at home or home arena, home market or in market, and you have shoot around in the morning, you have treatments and stuff, and then you may get an hour, 2 hours of a block, or you may not. You might have meetings, you might have other things that pop up. So keeping that in mind with just the time management, and those another point I wanted to bring across, that you may not get that sleep because then the game starts at 7 or 7:30 game. If it's a televised game, which a lot of games can become televised, meaning like TNT, NBA, like you can keep going on a list, and then playoffs, that's a whole nother ball game. Then those timeouts get a little bit longer, the game gets a little longer, and it's just like you're thinking, oh, I get home at 11:30 at night, it turns into 12 a.m. Then it's like, oh, we have practice or travel the next day, or travel that night right after the game. So there's some things I would say keep that in mind, like little sleep. When I say little sleep, I know people who are in PT school, athletic training school, you're studying, you're reading. This is not even just the academic side of things. Like that's a whole nother bullet point talking about academic stuff. This is like just for your job, where you may arrive 2:30, sometimes 4:30 in the middle of the night. You need to help take things, equipment off of a bus or a truck, or help things get set up. You may do it that night, you may do it the next day, next morning. However, there's just a lot of their time zone changes. That is a whole thing that I feel like that influences sleep. Some of us know, I mean, a lot of us probably already know, you can Google it too, like our own production of like growth hormone. Um, all that, like the peak could be like 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. And sometimes you may miss that window for recovery, for just rejuvenation, because you're traveling, you're on the plane, or you're still in the fourth quarter or overtime of a game. And then planes, that's another thing. I know a lot of people have a lot of experiences of delays or maintenance issues with the plane, and you're arriving 7 a.m. and it could be a back to back, when it's just like, those things happen. G League is a little bit different, and some other sports might be different, where you may not travel right after the game. So keeping that in mind. But at the end of the day, you could be hyped up from the game. You're treating after the game. Your adrenaline is running, and you're sitting in your seats. You're just, during timeouts, you get up maybe, but you're not playing, you're not working out, your adrenaline, your cortisol is a little elevated, and then the game ends, you do treatment, you debrief maybe as a staff, and then now it's time to go to bed. And it's just like, you need to learn how to get to bed real quick because you have to get up the next day. Some people work out in the morning too. So that throws off some people's schedule. So that is another bullet point about like fitness goals. And there's already a question. How do you make sure you have enough sleep? That is like that is a great, great thing. I only did 5 years pro sports thus far. Um, I know college was also, I don't know, residency and fellowship. I thought that was like hard. And then you get into professional sports and you realize the time management piece is key. Like you thought that was key when it comes to like trying to get enough sleep. I know a lot of people who did the napping, just doing that route. So I didn't really do the napping route. I know that sounds crazy. So you may get 5 hours, you may get less than 5 hours of sleep. So those are some of the things to keep in mind. However, you just try your best to combat it. So for me, I'm not like a napper because I don't know. I can lay down, I can close my eyes, and the biggest thing is just to turn off my phone. When I say turn off my phone, caveat, you probably won't turn off your phone in this setting. Maybe you do not disturb. You tell your players, call twice if you need something. But usually I know it sounds crazy, but if there's any mothers out there, you try to mimic your schedule around the players. So you have an idea of like when the players might get up, you get up before them, get an idea of, some of when they go to bed. Like obviously, like some stay up like late to go play video games. That's not what I'm talking about. But say if they have a shoot around in the morning, and then you may have 2 hours. If you have a meeting, all bets are off. You just figure that out. But you have to know, okay, right when we get off from shoot around, you have one or two players you need to treat, and then you need to budget when you're going to work out. So some people work out really early in the morning, or when they land to that location. Say if it's in the evening, not in the middle of the night, they work out that night. If it doesn't keep them up late, or they do some type of active recovery type of workout. If they have treatments, cater that in, or that 1 to 2 hour break in between of a shooter coming back from the shooter on your treatment, and then when you have to leave to the arena on the bus, pack up the training room, all that stuff. That's when you want to try to get your workout in. And you may learn about like certain workouts that you'll budget to say, I may have to break up my workouts. Say if you go by body part or you go push or pull, you have certain goals. Mine are a little bit different. I go based on like physique and what I want to work on. And I may budget where it's like, I know my arms and shoulders, I've collected so much data on myself. I know it takes about this much time. And then we go to similar hotels. So you got an idea of like, I know what that gym looks like, or I know there's a Planet Fit next door, or there's a Crunch over here. And you like kind of coordinate that, staying within maybe a 15-minute radius of the hotel, just in case something pops up, someone needs you. And you factor that in. Naps wise, trying to get an idea of that whole maybe 30-minute nap. Research is all over the place because some they say short and sweet. However, it depends. Some people may take 15 minutes just to wind down to take that nap. So whatever that is for you, trying to get as much time. Some people, I know like myself, I'll iron my clothes. I know some people don't iron their clothes, but whatever. I iron my clothes. For the game clothes, I'll do it right when we arrive before the next day. I do not want to do it game day because it gives me more time to say if I want to lay down or decompress or nap, whatever that is, do that. And so by time I get up from my like slumber or meditation, whatever you want to call it, I have then this amount of time, could be an hour, depending on when the game starts, depends on when you leave for the arena. So that you just figure it out time management wise. And then, like I need to pack up the hotel room, get everything ready for bag pull. I've already showered, my clothes are already ironed. I just pack up a little mini bag for the arena, for the game, and make sure I'm ready to go for I have like a treatment gear that you wear. Won't be the same gear I wear during the game because you get sweaty from all the moving and mobilization, all the therapy that you're doing. But like having that, you start getting into a routine of like, okay, this many items of clothes, this amount of time for food, to eat, to pack my stuff, shower, get ready, and then have my separate bag of when there's pregame and game and postgame. Because then a lot of times in professional sports, you are leaving right after the game. So At the end of the day, it's all set depending on how people like do. Some people like I work with, I have worked with, they'll do like functional training. So the functional training, they'll do hit training, and then they'll do like not all power movements, but functional movements that deal with maybe they go as heavy as they can, as fast as they can, getting a lot of power. Yeah, a lot of power movements. I am more on like I do it in splits, so I may not always do power, but I may do a little bit more of just guess you call it a bodybuilding style, because I also am in like that type of thing where I just look at different things I need to work on, weaknesses that I have, strength deficits, all this stuff, and I structure my time, structure my workout based on that. So, um, do you get used to this lifestyle? Does it get easier? I will honestly say, Jenny, thank you for your question. I do think it gets easier. But I will say not one season is the same. Just because game schedule changes, travel changes, sometimes you get an idea of when the schedule will start for the regular season, preseason, et cetera, et cetera. But it all changes. It all depends on, I don't know how to, it's so weird. Like it all depends on like where you're going for preseason. Usually we go to Tulsa for the team I was working with, like that type of stuff, but like it'll change. Um, but it's almost like once you have training camp that's in September, you kind of get thrown in there, just like, oh snap, this is like around September, and you're just like, okay, get a routine. You're like and then you might be in market, so you like try to get in a routine of your home routine, of like, okay, structure my day of like I get to work at, it could be 8 o'clock, it could be a little bit earlier, it could be 8:30, depending on how that schedule is. You have potentially like a week schedule, or may have a schedule the day before, so you can kind of structure your day around it. But it's like constantly planning. Like I'll use a planner and literally like writing stuff down, and like structuring like what needs to be done. And then I'll use my cell phone, and even that, even have like, oh, it looks like the light is messing around here. I don't even know where to, let's do that. And even the light, and then even like using my phone with like the calendar, and make sure things, someone called it time boxing. So it's not always just you have a to-do list of saying things, items that have to get done, but like time boxing of like this amount of time I'll do this and do that. So preseason, and then the regular season, where you have like a travel day, a away game day, home game, home practice day, you kind of or a recovery day. You start structuring your days that way. That helps, in my opinion, to make it appear to be easier. So it's really just how you manage it, and your perception of it. So you have your time boxing under control. You know exactly what you need to do. So that we're at like 17 minutes in. I just want to make sure I am not there's other things, and I don't want to like do every single thing, and because there may be more questions that pop up as we share this video with others. I do want to touch up on the long work hours. You kind of like, I think that's already been evident, talking about like sleep and managing working out and all that stuff. Also, if you have a fitness lifestyle, which I would call myself a little bit more in the fitness lifestyle. Not this season that just ended, but a couple seasons before, I was training for a show. And that's literally like throughout the whole season. And I know that was crazy to some people that knew what was going on, especially at work. But I managed to make sure it did not interfere with work. I got to change this one more time, or I got to see if I can change. Let's see if I can change this just to close it. I don't know. No, did that make it better? Or worse? That'll work. Okay. Yeah, so I was training for a show. When I say a show, like a fitness show. And so that's something like you can do. The problem I ran into is you have to have time off to actually do your show. So not factoring that in, because it's like you can train, so you're kind of like in a 4 week. So I was in like a 4 week range of like being ready for a show, but you have to have time off to have a show, and that's where it gets back to being busy, and the irregular work hours. You may not know when you're gonna get 2 days off or a day off to say, oh, I'm gonna do a fitness show. So at the end of the day, you just work on being fit because it's good for your cardiovascular, like good for your just your health, your mindset. I think a lot of us who are in the setting, who are firefighters, who are nurses, like police officers, they fall into this where the cortisol level is so high and divorce rate is high, heart attacks are high. Like there's actually research that covers this. And so I think the biggest thing is just like, I'm doing this for my health. Yeah, if I want to do some other things on the side, keep this in mind. But there are a lot of times where you're gonna, well, I did. I'll be cooking in my room, in my hotel room. I know that sounds crazy, but yeah, I'll carry a George Foreman or I carry a hot plate in a little pot, like a little small pot. And I bought stuff, you use a fridge that's in the hotels. You don't get microwaves in these type of hotels. They're like beautiful high-end hotels. But at the end of the day, like you make it work because if you have goals, you have things you need to work on, do those things and not take away from your job. So the way my fitness goals were, like it's structured to say, okay, I know that players are going to be napping at this time. This is when you need, I know I want to nap, maybe lay down for 10 minutes, but you need to get your workout in because you may not have no time because it's a game day or we're traveling and structure that. And then there's some days where it's like you may have to, well, a lot of times where your workout can get cut because maybe there's a phone call or there's a meeting that pops up. You just have to learn to adjust, and it's all about adjusting. At the end of the day, like I know if there are some moms on this call or maybe moms that may see this video or whatever, it's the same thing if you have a child. I don't have a child yet, but like you just keep adjusting where it's like, okay, when the baby naps, maybe that's when you nap. And I'm not calling the players babies. I'm just saying, maybe that's your time to nap. Maybe that's your time to work out. Like you got to figure out what works for you and what your goals are. And then learning when you need to slow down, take a break, or take advantage of what the schedule is placed in front of you. So say if we have back-to-back games, you need maybe, okay, so if you think about like how the players are lifting, their lifting schedule, they may not, usually they're not going to be lifting back to back. So maybe for yourself, you could think of that back to back game as maybe I should rest one of those, days as well. Get steps or whatever. The game slash season might be so busy that you're getting steps anyway. So, count your steps. I know I'm pointing at the wrong thing. Count your steps. Maybe use that. But at the end of the day, like understanding that there's a reason why we have like you're not better than the players. They're to the elite level. So try not to go over. So if most likely if they're not lifting back-to-back days, if it's a back-to-back game, you might be busy or might be taxing for you, especially if it's like a home game and you travel for the away game for the back-to-back or vice versa, or that's the NBA usually will be funny like that, where it's like that works out scheduling wise. It may not be like home back to back. Sometimes that happens. So keeping that in mind, where it's like maybe I should take a break. Maybe like I work out one of those days. It could be the first day or it could be the next day. If I had learned this for myself. I actually get hyper when I work out. This is probably why I'm doing this video now, because I just finished working out and I'm kind of like, I got all this energy and I got my little smoothie. Where there's at a certain time of the day I cannot work out. So that's something I have to like keep that in mind, where if it's 8 o'clock, sorry, boo, you passed your window. You could probably get some light steps on a flat incline and whatever will help you relax to get steps in. But that's it. No lifting, because I know my heart rate, I know my ranges, and I know once I get my heart rate above a certain range, that may have already happened with a game. Mind you, we already talked about that. It can make it worse. So sometimes after a game, especially if it's like a tense game, playoffs are another great example. The cool thing is, I mean, if you're away, most likely with playoffs, you're probably going to be going back to the hotel. If it's a home game, you're probably going to go back. A home game, there's probably most likely a gym at the arena. That's usually what players are using to get ready themselves. You might have to walk on the treadmill just to kind of decompress, or listen to music or a podcast, something that's maybe something boring, reading a book or Audible. That should help you just to help decompress and relax, because you don't want to bring that into the next day. Biggest thing I'll say is, as a healthcare professional, trying not to get too involved into the game that you feel like you're bringing your emotions into work. Players love, and whoever you're working with would love stability, consistency, just being constant, right? So the schedule's ever changing. There's things on social media, on First Take, FS1, all this stuff about like how the game went, the stats, like the next thing you want to do as a healthcare professional is bringing that in. That's not for me. I'll say I don't want to do that. You want to just try to work on yourself, make sure you're good, because if you can't lead yourself, you can't expect to lead others. And that's what I will say about that. Kind of like some of the things that you may not have been prepared initially, but I think if you had experience before coming into professional sports where just you're in a team setting, that might be helpful. Being a player and then maybe being a clinician and understanding it's not like I go to the clinic, I check in at this time, I have 16 clients and I do my notes, I'm done for the day. Cool. Next day, like this is different. Like you are immersed, you're around these people about 90% of the time. Like whether you call it a family or not, like it kind of is like a family because you don't choose who you work with. Like most likely you're chosen and you choose, do you want to like work with the team and be of that culture and that work culture and understanding what that work culture is and um being the best team player you could be. So another thing too, I'll probably end it because we're at the 5-minute mark. This will be my last thing. The one thing I will say that people don't tell you is you can have all the credentials in the world. You can say, oh, I am a physical therapist, athletic trainer, did residency fellowship. I've did an orthopedic residency. I did this, and this. And look, I am so highly qualified. You should hire me. That's not how it goes. Like you can be all that. So I'm not against that. You can be all that. But I understand you're one person and your team, the player's still at the center. So no matter how many things you bring to the table, yeah, you may be changing and switching hats depending on the day, whoever is available, however, but everyone still has to have their lane. So at the end of the day, like NASCAR or whatever, like everybody has their lane and you may, switch lanes and stuff every once in a while because maybe you need to have a helping hand and you're a great teammate, but you need to get back and know what your roles are. And I think a great team knows what the strengths and weaknesses are of their teammate and how they can bring the best out of that person. You as yourself need to do like self checklists, like self evals to know what you're bringing to the table that day. Are you bringing your baggage from an argument from a girlfriend, boyfriend, or like your parents or like life circumstances, or you didn't get enough sleep or the baby woke you up every other hour? Yeah, you could be tired, but are you bringing that to work, that kind of thing, and just understanding like I can have all these credentials. However, I may only use 30% of it because this is what the team needs from me. And it may shift because one season could be that way. The next season actually be like, hey, I actually want you to talk a little bit or do a little bit more of your emergency medicine stuff. So some of the things I will say, like, don't stop at getting, credentials or doing your best, doing certifications. Don't stop doing those things, but just understand like you may not utilize all those skills that you went to school for or what you worked prior to coming to the setting. Excuse me, because every team's going to be different. It doesn't matter the sport. You can be in the same sport, same NBA, and you go to a different team, and they're like, oh, well, we already have athletic trainers, or it's like, oh, we already have like you can help, but that's not our main goal or main focus for the role that we want you to play. So you understand, for you have to be confident in yourself and your skills. That yeah, I may not be utilizing the skills that maybe I want to, and that's something that you have to answer yourself. Do you want to partake in that team? Or there may be things that I, could be a couple times during the season, like, oh, can you tape an ankle? Stay ready. You know what I'm saying? The opportunity can present itself. You never know what happens. Like, and I think it's been great just the teammates I did have of like it wasn't like I don't think the players knew like, oh, that's a physical therapist, that's the director of rehab, that's the strength conditioning coach. You may know like, okay, if they're probably a little bit more in the weight room, you have an idea. But I like the idea, in my opinion, for it not to be so fractionated. Yes, everyone has their lanes, their task and roles. However, it's something that's blended because it's a team. At the end of the day, as we said, the players in the middle. So I got off on a tangent, but I want to make sure this is under 30 minutes. Thank you for the questions. I hope you guys share this with other people. We have more, but we're not going to try to jam it all in one video because this will be here forever and you're just seeing a blank wall behind me. And I know that's boring. And I'm going to finish this smoothie and we got some more food to consume because we are training as we've always been training. Like that hasn't stopped, whether I've been in season or not. That will be a whole separate thing. I'll have videos on fitness. I have a lot of videos I have not posted. I'll get on that. DMs, they're going to be filled out. When I say filled out, I may answer them on here or text you guys back, answer you guys on DMs. At the end of the day, we're just knocking things through. We're checking some things off. And I just want to make sure like we have a lot of things. I don't even think it's gonna get it on the video. We have a lot of things to talk about, the ish they don't tell you in pro sports. So if you like this, let me know. You can like the video, share it, you can comment. Because there could be other things that I could be missing. And there's other things that I probably just didn't list yet that are on here that's going to be the next video. So at the end of the day, thank you for watching. I'm trying to make this under 30. So appreciate you guys. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Okay, bye.